Hello and welcome back to Knitting Nicely. I'm Danielle Chaubet, your knitting coach. Today we're going to learn how to do an invisible bind off on a double knitting project. The project you see here is a little Rooster Hotpad, and you can find a link to this pattern in the description. Okay, so I have just finished knitting the last row on my Hotpad. And if you're working on some other project besides this Hotpad, then you would just finish your last row in your double knitting. And then what I'm going to show you here is how to have another invisible edge on it. So we did the invisible cast on here, and now we're going to do an invisible bind off. Now in this pattern, you can see that I've switched the colors so that I've got the lighter color here, and then one row of darker color, then one row of lighter color, and then dark color. So I'm going to do that on my bind off as well, so that the bind off matches the cast on. So the first thing I need to do is I need to knit only one of the colors. So in order to only knit one color, I need to move all these stitches to two separate needles. So I'm going to use my double pointed needles to do that. So I'm going to take one of my needles, and I'm just going to leave my working yarn hanging. I don't need to use it right now. So actually I'm going to take two needles. I'm going to take both needles because I'm going to transfer at the same time, and I'm just going to hold them together like this, so that they're together. And I'm going to move back and forth as I put these stitches onto these two needles. And I'm going to put all the light colored stitches onto one and all the dark colored stitches onto the other one. So light stitches are going to go on this needle, then dark stitches are going to go on this needle, and I'm just going to slip them all purlwise. Okay, so the next stitch is another dark stitch, so I'm going to put it on that same needle. Oh, get it on there. Make sure you don't split your yarns. Then the next stitch is a light stitch. I'm putting it on this needle. There, and you just go back and forth on your needles, making sure that they don't slip off the edge. I sometimes use my forefinger to kind of keep the stitches where they should be instead of falling off the end as I'm moving back and forth. And you're just slipping all of the stitches off your circular or your straight needle that you've used this entire time and onto two separate needles. Now these two needles are slightly larger. They're size US 1 instead of size US 0 like I used for the rest of this Hotpad, but I'm not gonna worry about it. It's close enough. And I will knit through the first row with my circular needle, since I don't have size 0 double pointed needles. If you do have the same size double pointed needles as your working needle was, then you can use double pointed needles for the entire thing. But since I don't have size 0 double pointed needles, I'm going to go ahead and use my circular needle to knit through the first row. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop this video, so you don't have to watch me transferring all these stitches to these two needles. But once you are done transferring all your stitches to two separate needles, then come back to the video and we'll go on from there. Okay, I'm at the end of separating things off onto these two double pointed needles. You can see that it's coming right to the end of my double pointed needles over here. So I'm gonna have to be really careful not to let those slip off. But I only have a few more stitches, so it's fine. So I'm gonna slip these last few stitches. Okay, so everything is off of this needle and onto my double pointed needles. Now I'm gonna decide which one I wanna work on. I'm deciding I'm gonna work on the one that's in front of me. So since I'm switching off the colors, like down here, it's a light color, I'm gonna pick up my working yarn, my light color, and I'm gonna work through all these stitches on just this double pointed needle with this light color. And I'm gonna use, like I said, I'm gonna use my circular needle just because I don't have any correct size double pointed needles. Okay. All right, so I'm just gonna work through all of these stitches in knit. Okay, all of them are gonna be knit stitches. Get that first one on there. Sometimes it can be a little tricky. Now we need to make sure that we're not slipping off the stitches off of this back double pointed needle. So just be aware of that when you're working, that you're only slipping them off the first one. That through there, slip it off. Through. Oh, I split my yarn. Don't want to do that. Yeah, as you can see, it can be a little bit tricky a little bit, but just kind of work on it and you get those stitches through. Just be careful not to slip them off that back needle. As we're going, it's going to get easier and easier because this back needle won't be in the way anymore. Make sure your yarn doesn't get caught around that back needle either. Okay. Keep on going. I'm noticing now that I've got these two stitches twisted, so I'm going to take those out and do them the right way. I kind of forgot that as I work double knit, I work the stitches in a different way than I normally do. So I need to knit through the back loop of all of these stitches instead of through the front loop like I normally do when I'm knitting. So I'm going to go through the back loop instead of the front loop, so my stitches will lay in the correct orientation. And we're just going to work all those stitches in a knit stitch through the back loop. Ooh, don't let those go off. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and finish off this row. You finish yours, and when you're done knitting through all these front stitches only, then come back to the video and I will finish off my row and we'll go from there. All right, I've almost finished getting these stitches done, knitting through them all with the light color. I only have a few left, so we're going to work those together. Just 3 more. I'm going to knit through all of them. Like that. Okay, so that's done. You can set that double pointed needle aside, and we're just gonna pull. If you're using a circular needle, you're going to pull that circular needle all the way out. Not all the way out, but all the way to the other end, because now we're going to graft these two stitches together using Kitchener. So I need to get these stitches onto the end of that needle. Work them around onto there. Some of these are a little bit tight because I was working a little bit tight today for some reason. We need to have them all towards the end of our needle so that we can do our Kitchener. And once you get them all to the end of your needle, you're going to cut both of your yarns, both the light color and the dark color. And you need to leave about, I would say at least 3 yards, because not only are we going to Kitchener these stitches together, so we need the length in order to do that, but we're also going to make a little I-cord loop on this end. And we need to have enough yarn to make that loop to go around. So I would say at least 3 yards, maybe even 4, just to be certain you have enough. So you're gonna cut both light and dark yarns around 3 or 4 yards. The light yarn, you could probably get away with just 3 since we already went across. We don't need that extra for going across. We just need the extra for the I-cord on the light color. But the dark color, definitely at least 3, maybe 4 yards. So I'm gonna go ahead and move all these stitches to the end and cut my yarn and then I'll be right back. All right, so now I've got all of my stitches ready. They're all kind of bunched up towards the ends of my 2 needles. And I'm gonna take my dark colored yarn because I want it to match my cast on. I need that row of dark colors. So I'm gonna take my dark colored yarn and I'm gonna put it on a tapestry needle. Some people call it a yarn needle. And I'm gonna put about halfway down. I'm gonna pull this end about halfway down so I don't have a huge amount to pull through. Okay, then I'm gonna start my Kitchener stitch. So this yarn is coming from under this stitch, so I wanna move that to between these 2 stitches. So I'm gonna do that right now. I'm gonna put my tapestry needle in between those 2. You see that? And I'm just gonna pull it all the way through. Okay, now we are ready to start our Kitchener. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through this first stitch as if to purl. Okay, go through as if to purl. I'm gonna pull it all the way through. Make sure it doesn't go over the top of that needle just like it just did. Just pull it all the way through. Then I'm gonna go through this back stitch as if to knit. See that? As if I'm gonna knit it. I'm not gonna knit it, just going through it. I'm gonna pull the yarn all the way through on that one too. All the way through. Okay, so those 2 things, those 2 steps were the first steps of a Kitchener stitch. The rest of the steps are just repeated. So this is the method for Kitchener stitch. I like to always say knit, purl, purl, knit. Knit, purl, purl, knit. That's how I remember Kitchener. So the needle that's in front, I knit, purl. The needle that's in back, I purl, knit. So when you knit, when you do the first stitch, you knit and slip off and then purl. And when I say knit, purl, that's just the direction that my needle is going in. So I have to do that again. I'm slipping my tapestry needle into this stitch as if I was about to knit it, and then slipping it into this stitch as if I was to purl it. And then I'm gonna pull the yarn all the way through. Okay. Then I'm gonna go back to this back needle and then do the purl, knit. So slip this tapestry needle in as if I'm gonna purl and slip it off the end, and then slip it into the next stitch as if I'm going to knit it. Don't slip it off the end, leave it on the needle and pull the yarn all the way through. Oh, make sure your yarn doesn't get tangled. And then I'm gonna come to the front needle again, and this is the front needle, so I do knit, purl. So slip or put your tapestry needle through that first stitch as if you're going to knit it and slip it off. And then through the second stitch as if to purl, don't slip it off and pull it all the way through. Okay, now you can see that this looks like a mess. And at the beginning of Kitchener stitch grafting, it usually does look like a mess. And so we kind of have to go in and pull around with it with our tapestry needle. So I like to kind of just pull things a little bit, see where they are. Okay, so this is coming from what I just did, and it's flipped over that other one. So I need to work it through, move it to the right place. Move it over. That stitch is supposed to be over here. This stitch is supposed to be over here. And pull it a little bit tight. Okay, now it still looks a little bit messy, but we're not going to worry about that right now because we can come back and kind of fiddle with the stitches after we get a little bit further down and we can see how they're supposed to be laying. Because right now it's hard to tell, like, how tight do I really want this? I don't really know yet because I'm not further down. Once we get a little bit further down, then we can come back and mess around with the stitches and loosen and tighten them as we need. Okay, so I just finished doing the front, so now I'm gonna go to the back needle and do my purl knit. So as if to purl through this stitch and slip it off. As if to knit, don't slip it off, and pull my yarn all the way through. Move this yarn to where it's supposed to be, right next to the others, but don't worry about pulling it super tight right now. Now we're coming to the front. Put your tapestry needle in as if to knit, slip it off. Tapestry needle in as if to purl, don't slip it off. Pull your yarn all the way through. Make sure that next piece of yarn is laying where it's supposed to be. You have all these lined up right next to each other in rows. Okay, I think I'm going to do at least 1 or 2 more stitches before I come back and try to fix the tension in these stitches the way I want them. So we got a purl knit, purl knit, pull through, make sure that stitch is lining up where it's supposed to be. Should be next in line. Don't let them get out of order. Next one is a knit purl, because it's the front needle. Okay, and then another purl knit, because it's the back needle. Just pull it all the way through. And another knit purl, because it's the front row, and pull it all the way through. Okay, so now I'm going to go back and mess around with these stitches so that they're not so loose. See how loose they are? They need to be the same tension as all my other V's. Like these V's. Okay, so let's work at this one. This one looks like it's a little bit too loose. So I'm going to go to the next stitch and pull it until this one is the right tension that I want it. Then I'm going to go to this next one and pull it until this stitch is the right tension that I like. Pull. This one looks loose again, so I'm going to go ahead and pull this one again. Sometimes I hold this one down with my thumb so it doesn't pull that one. Okay. And then I pull this one. Now I gotta find the next one. That's right here. Pull it till this stitch is the way I want it. And you can start seeing the V. This is the V I'm working on right here. You guys see that? That's the V I'm working on. This is the previous V. This is the V I'm working on. This is the next V, this white one right here. Okay, and I'm gonna work on this yarn. I'm gonna pull that with the next one. Pull, then the next one. Right here. Pull it till it's the right size of a V. See that little V right there? Right there. Pink one, not the dark one. That dark burgundy, this pink one right here. That's the right size for this V. It should be the same size. Okay, and then we're gonna go to the next one. You can see this is getting bigger and bigger. Pull it through. Then pull the next one through. Right here. Okay. Okay, so that's the next V. You can see it's the right size. And you can see the white V's as well. This is a V right there. This is a V right here. Okay, we're almost to the end where we're gonna do our Kitchener some more. All right, let's pull this one tight. Make sure you're not pulling that. Catch it with your thumb so it doesn't pull the wrong side. And then this is our last V. And there you go. So you can see that it's gonna look like these V stitches are continuously going all the way around. Kind of a cool look. It's called invisible bind off. Okay, so we're gonna continue to go along. I just finished the front needle. Now I'm gonna go to the back needle, which is a purl, slip off and knit. Pull it through. Now, from now on, I'm not gonna leave my stitches super loose for a lot of stitches. I'm just gonna leave this one a little bit loose, but making sure that it's lying in the right place. Okay. And then I'm gonna do this front one, knit purl, pull it all the way through. And every time I go through the front one, I check my tension from the previous 2 stitches that I did. So I'm gonna make sure that it's lying correctly. You can see that it's twisted around here. I'm gonna move that over so it's lying the right way and pull it so that I'm making sure this V is definitely the right shape and size, and this one is almost the right shape and size. So I'm gonna pull it through. Okay, that one's a little bit big, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull this one a bit. And then pull this one a little bit. That looks about right. Okay, now I'm gonna do it again. Do the back one, purl knit, pull it all the way through. And the front one, knit purl, pull it all the way through. Make sure they're lying in the right order. And then pull them tight, making sure that this V is very good and this V is almost good. Sometimes I pull this first V a little bit tighter because I know it's going to loosen up a little bit as I work the next 2 stitches. And this one looks a little bit too loose still, so I'm going to pull this one a little bit tighter. Fix that. I like my stitches to be pretty even on my grafting. I probably am a little bit too picky. Okay, looks pretty good. Those stitches look pretty even. Okay, so I'm just gonna continue doing that. Do the back needle, do the front needle, pull it so it's the right tension. Do the back needle, do the front needle, then pull it so it's the right tension. All the way through all these stitches. And I will not torture you to watch me do it. So I will stop the video, and when you are all the way to the end, maybe only a couple stitches left, come back and we will finish off. Actually, don't go all the way to the end because we gotta make that I cord. So only go to the last 3. So if you have 3 stitches left, stop your Kitchener grafting, and then be sure to watch my other video that shows you how to do the I cord stitch with these last 3 stitches. You'll find the link to the Hotpad I cord loop in the description of this video. Thanks for watching this video. If you'd like to get notified when new videos are available, please hit the subscribe button. Happy knitting!